Okay, round two. The philosophical and psychological sides to fitness training as I see it. There's a quote circulating, supposedly by Socrates, that states, "No man has the right to be an amateur in the matter of physical training. It is a shame for a man to grow old without seeing the beauty and strength of which his body is capable." The interesting quote, Socrates lived to 469 to 399 BC, says the internet. And we're not even exactly sure if Socrates has said it because he had students that would speak on his behalf and kind of compete in the ideologies. Let's assume, like I said, that Socrates has truly said this. It is a shame for a man to grow old without seeing the beauty and strength of which his body is capable. That part of the Socrates quote or supposed quote has spoken to me a lot because I enjoy being able to use my body for being supportive and strong and capable for the people around me. I really do refuse to give up on this part of human experience. Now, supposedly the quote is, like I said, quite contested because Xenophon and Plato would speak kind of differently on behalf of their teacher Socrates. It is still kind of quite relatable. That's where we kind of flip over a little bit to more of a psychological approach to this. But I did want to touch a little bit on Stoicism. I thought that Stoicism began with Marcus Aurelius, which is not the case. Marcus Aurelius is one of the three people that have dominated in the Stoicism psychology. And we have Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca. I'm going to have horrible pronunciation on this, but these are supposedly the late Stoics. And these three have preached something that's called equanimity. Equanimity being the calmness and composure in the face of difficult circumstances. It's funny because Seneca was eventually told by his king or emperor, whatever, to kill himself for treason. And so that's kind of giving him an interesting test to prove his own point. So that's just an interesting side tangent. I do believe that Stoicism really applies because once you go and you put yourself into very difficult situations, then you kind of get used to the idea of being calm in these difficult situations. People that don't really work out might think of this as like really dumb opinion because, you know, doing some squats or whatever might not be as difficult as dealing with some life's pressures, but I think it kind of triggers the same mechanisms, the same psychology, because you don't want to do this shit half the time when you do go train. And when you do work out for in a serious way to actually improve your body, to push your body, just like this guy, you know, said, to see what your body is capable of before you die, then you do have to put yourself into these high stress situations in the moment. And then over and over again, many years pass and you're just doing it like a machine, you know, and you do it 2-3 times a week. And that does sort of develop some sort of resilience to unexpected circumstances. Back to the psychological side of training. Fitness training doesn't have to mean the same thing for everybody. But in this case, it means pushing your body past what you thought was possible and realizing that the limit for your body is way further than you originally expected. And that gives you so much more strength, physical strength in the gym, but like in life in general, because you start projecting that sort of mindset onto other things. You know, what I thought was impossible, not only have I broke through it, this isn't even my limit. You know, this is I don't know, kind of what I'm trying to do with YouTube here. Share my opinions, get better at speaking, and then see where it will lead me. Personally, like I say in almost every video, I have the most unstable ass mind. You know, psychological issues and mood regulation and serotonin production and everything along those lines. And mood regulation is actually the first point on here for what I want to say about the psychological sides of fitness training. A lot of times by the end of my office day, if I'm in the office, I feel overstimulated. I can't even, I go to the office, I have a little necklace, I have these things on, the evil eye stuff. And there comes a point in the day when it's like 7 p.m. and I have to take everything off. I'm literally so overstimulated. I got so much shit going on. I got my family texting me on the side. I work in a high pressure environment where there's timelines all the time. And if I were to go to sleep like this, I don't even know how I would feel the next day. But I do know. I'd feel like shit. I had just another mental break just a couple more days ago where I hadn't got enough fitness to offset the anxiety that I've cultivated over the week. And instead of having a nice family time for Father's Day, I felt super stressed. We made it through, it was great, and then the next day I almost died afterwards. I gave too much and I rebuilt too little over those 2 days. And this isn't the first time where finally, when I had some time, I went to the gym afterwards and I had a really, really difficult training session. All of my anxieties get wiped. If I tried really, really hard, I come out so calm, cool, collected. I come out my best version. The version of me that I am comfortable with is the person that I am comfortable with being. And I think you have to get into the groove of things. But once you find that spark, and once you find the sport that you like, whatever it is, you want to become the best swimmer, the best badminton player. Once you do that, the mood regulation you get. I know I'm not a chemist, I'm not a biologist, but I know there's serotonin, dopamine production that happens, and I think it's irreplaceable. This is the quickest fix. It's not super quick. It takes a couple hours. You gotta get to the gym, you gotta train, you gotta get back, but it's so quick in the first 10-15 minutes of a workout where your mood improves, where it's impossible to ignore. Next, generally, the feeling of improving in life. Some weeks, now I don't know how your lives are going, but some weeks in my life it almost feels like nothing has moved. We're fighting the same battles, we're going through the same motions. Sometimes you want to do something else comes in, offsets you, and now you still haven't done much, and now you end the week and you're pretty much where you had been before. I don't know about you guys, I don't feel happy living a life like that. I want to progress. I don't need a fucking gold yacht. I don't need a fucking gold Gucci robe like Conor McGregor. But I need to have some sort of progress in my life. And on those weeks and days, when there's no other progress happening, this little progress that you do to your own self during training is invaluable. It's irreplaceable. It might be the only thing that you've progressed on in life in that week is one extra fucking rep on something. And you feel better about it because you know that, okay, maybe, life consists of career, family, health, and at least you've improved the health. At least you've improved the capability. At least you can go to sleep and say, hey, I'm strong, or I'm stronger than before. I'm stronger than I ever was. This shit gives me extra like confidence and love for myself because I know that I couldn't have achieved that without all this effort that I put in. That's the thing. It's not like I could have it's not like I'm happy for being able to lift the weight. I'm happy for being able to lift the weight after I wasn't able to before. That just reminds me, every day it reminds me that I actually am capable of adhering to a regimen and a plan and a goal for a long, long time. It reminds me of the fact that I stuck it through. I never said, hey, well, I'm too old for this. I'm past 30 years old. I guess this is just me now. And you're able to make changes if you put your head down. And once again, it might be the only improvement you've done that week. And that's another reason why I find it invaluable. I already mentioned the fact that when you have a mental break, before a mental break, during a mental break, and then after the break and after the gym are like completely different beings, completely different people. I recommend people to I'm just going to say that I recommend people to find something difficult for them to do physically because it releases whatever, serotonin, whatever the fuck. Actually, let's see what it releases. Difficult workouts. Endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, brain-derived neurotropic factor. That's the thing that builds the connections between your neurons in your brain. This isn't like something that you can just go and get in a bottle or a pill. I mean, you can do drugs to have hits of dopamine and stuff like that, but those usually burn out your dopamine receptors, right? So anyway, this is a good way to feel like you're on coke or something when you don't do drugs. And finally, if you have chronic illnesses, so I'm going to bring this back to the first point, you should not allow your illness to take away from you such a big part of a human experience. If it's your choice that you don't give a fuck, fine. But if you want to and you think, oh, but I'm sick, but I'm ill, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Your sick ass might be stronger than 90% of healthy people on this planet. And yeah, you won't become Ronnie Coleman or Brian Shaw, whoever the fuck. But you should not allow your sickness to take away from your human experience. We all suffer with things. I've learned in my life that out of 10 people, maybe one or two are healthy. The rest have illnesses, either physically or mentally. And at this point, I don't even know what's 100% normal mental person anyway, right? Because like, what is normal anyway, right? Like that T-shirt. So whatever is normal is what's most common, and what's most common is probably emotional dysregulation. So you actually have a chance to be outside of the norm, and while everybody struggles, you may have a better grasp on your issues. You may have a better grasp on your issues as a sick person than a 100% healthy person who doesn't know why they're unhappy, and they can't really get that ball rolling sometimes. Again, sometimes you don't know why you're unhappy, but you get the ball rolling, you got some dopamine, some serotonin, now you got plans, now you got ambition, now you got confidence, and then you're sitting here recording the videos, right? For the first time in months and years. So, once again, me as somebody with IBS, which is like, people know there's a curve to this. Everything is on a normal distribution. Mine's pretty fucked up. But making a choice 10, now like 12 years ago, to offset that as much as I can and become strong is the difference between me living an unsatisfactory, depressed life and me feeling positive and ambitious. And even though I'm still unsatisfied, yet I'm proud of what I've done, and I can go to sleep happy every time. And by the way, going to sleep is also easier when you're physically exhausted. So insomnia issues have not ridden me since college years because I'm always tired as shit. I guess that wraps up this thing. Does it? Does it wrap it up? Does it not wrap it up? What else do I want to mention here? Right. One more thing. I'll record here. Maybe I'll put it in. Maybe I won't. When you train day to day, week to week, you have this energy, motivation, strength sort of like curve that you need to balance. That you need to really understand where I'm at today, okay? But like, I'm a little bit unmotivated, I'll still push myself, or I'm very motivated, but my body hurts from too much workouts, I can take a rest today, blah, 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 blah. But you still go back, you come back, you have a plan. Month to month, this curve just becomes a different training. Of when your motivation lacks to when you get it again to when it lacks, how do you get it back? That's a separate video, I think, of how to regain your motivation for your hobbies. I have different hobbies. Gym has been like a hobby for a while. I know to some people it sounds corny, but music and other creative, outlets. But you have to, like, sometimes you lose it, and you have to take yourself, like that guy from the book, pull your own self out by your hair, out of the swamp, and put you on the beach, on dry land. Sometimes I'm a little depressed, I'm in my zone, and I force myself to go back to my hobbies, to look at the sky, to listen to music. My father has helped me with that recently as well. And then over decades, you also have this curve, which is probably either gonna go like this or like this. I don't think our life is long enough to actually zoom out enough to see this curve like that. But if on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis you're balancing your motivation, your energy, and your emotions, on a monthly basis you're balancing your motivation overall, then over the decades I think you have to make the choice of what kind of person you want to be and stick it. Again, because you are not really going to be ever living long enough to have the chance to lose it and regain it and lose it again. This is too wide of a curve. That might be a little bit out there. That might need its own video of its own. But like I said, let's bring it back to the other stuff. Hopefully that's the transition works here. This is confusing.